Alright, so in this video we're going to look at the law of sines. I'm going to do this over several parts. The video would be way too long if I tried to do the whole thing in one video. So there'll be a part one, a part two, I don't know, maybe three or four parts. So, and I encourage you to watch them all. So I'm going to try to I'll hit every case that you'll come across. Alright, well let's go ahead and get started. So the law of sines, we have the sine of A, the sine of angle A over side A is equal to the sine of angle B over side B, which equals the sine of angle C over side C. So this triangle, it would look something like this. Okay, we call this angle A, this angle B, and this angle C. Side A is opposite angle A, side B is opposite angle B, and side C is opposite angle C. Okay, so that's what the triangle would look like. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at an example. We want to solve the triangle. So we have angle C is 82.2 degrees, side A is 10.9, and side C is 7.62. Now what I like to do here is I like to just go ahead and make out a table. So we'll have a column for our angles, and we'll also have a column for our sides. Okay, and I've got angle A, so we don't know what that is. Angle B, don't know what that is. Angle C, well that's 82.2 degrees. Side A is 10.9. Side B, we don't know. And side C is 7.62. Alright, so we'll use the law of sines, and you can see that we can use the law of sines, and we know angle C, side C, and we know angle A. I'm sorry, side A. So we can solve for angle A. If you look back here, see we know angle C, side C, and we know side A. So if we plug those values in there, we're only left with angle A, and we could solve for it. So let's go back. And so this is going to give me the sine of A over side A, which is 10.9, is equal to the sine of angle C, which is 82.2 degrees, over side C, which is 7.62. And so now I just need to solve for angle A. I'm sorry, solve for sine A. So the 10.9, I'm going to move it across. So that's going to be sine A is equal to 10.9 times the sine of 82.2 degrees over 7.62. And so I get sine A is equal to, and then I'll have to punch all of this into my calculator. Now make sure when you're plugging this into your calculator, make sure that your angle measure, your calculator is in degrees and not radians. Alright, so let me do that. Alright, so I punched it into my calculator and I get sine A is equal to 1.417211478. And I would encourage you when you're doing this, write out all the decimal places. Okay, so your answers will be more accurate like that. Well, let's look at this. To find angle A, I would need to take the inverse sine of this. Okay, well, if you take the inverse sine of 1.4172, that number there, your calculator is going to give you an error message. Okay, because remember, anytime you take the sine of an angle, you're always going to get an answer between -1 and +1. If you take this, whenever you take the sine of an angle, you cannot see, it's always going to be between -1 and +1. Whenever you take the sine of an angle, it's always going to be between there. It'll never be above 1 or below -1. So this can't happen. So our solution here is no triangle. Okay. All right. And I think I'm going to work one more problem on this part before we go to the next part. All right, so here's another one. Let's solve this triangle. So they give us angle A, angle B, and side A. All right, so once again, I'm going to make me a table. I've got angles, I've got sides. So I've got angle A is 32 degrees, angle B is 81.8 degrees, angle C we don't know, and then I've got side A is 42.9, side B we don't know, and side C we don't know. Alright, so let's look at this. Well, I can use the law of sines. You see, I've got angle A and side A. I've got angle B, but I don't know side B. But see, I can plug this value, and this value into the formula and solve for B. And see, this law of sines here, I can take this, set it equal to this one, or I can take this and set it equal to this one, or I can take this and set it equal to this one. You can pick any two and set them equal to each other. And in this case, we know angle A, side A, angle B, and we can find side B. Okay. All right. And then, of course, also we can get angle C easy. We'll do that after we solve for B, because we know all these angles add up to 180. All right, so let's go ahead and find side B. So that's going to be the sine of 32 degrees over 42.9 is equal to the sine of 81.8 degrees over side B. Okay. All right, so when I solve for B, well, if I move this across, see, since it's division here, when I move this across, it's going to go up here to the numerator. Move this across, it's going to go to the numerator. When I move sine 32 across, it's going to go down to the denominator. So that's going to be B is equal to 42.9 times the sine of 81.8 degrees over the sine of 32 degrees. And you should know how to solve that by now, okay, being intrigued. Alright, so I'm going to get B is equal to, and we'll have to punch that into our calculator. Alright, so punching that into our calculator, we get 80.1. That's the length of side B. Okay, and I just went ahead and rounded it to 1 decimal place because the given information is rounded to 1 decimal place. Okay, if your teacher wants you to round it to more, then round it to more decimal places. All right, and so now we've got this is 80.1. Now you can see we just need to solve for angle C and side C. Well, let's go ahead and get angle C. So angle C is equal to 180 minus these two angles, 32 degrees minus 81.8 degrees. Because remember, all three angles of a triangle add up to 180. So if I do 180 minus 32 minus 81.8, that is going to give me 66.2 degrees. So I get C is 66.2 degrees. Alright, now I can solve for side C. So solving for side C, remember, we've got sine A over A equals sine B over B equals sine C over C. Now, look at this. To solve for side C, of course I'm going to use the 66.2. But look, I can plug in 81.8 and 80.8 and use these two. Or I can plug in the 32 and the 42.9 and use this one and this one. What I'm going to do is use this one and this one. I'm not going to use this one. I could, but the reason I'm not is because this value here was calculated. Okay, I could have made an error in my calculations. When I round it, that could throw it off. I'm going to use as much given information as I can. See, the 32 degrees and the 42.9, both those values were given. Okay, so that's the one, and that's the reason I'm going to use them. Okay, but like I said, there's nothing wrong with using the 80.1. It's just your answer may be slightly different. It shouldn't be off by much, but it would be a little bit different and that's just because of rounding. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I've got sine 32 degrees over 42.9 equals the sine of 66.2 over side C. So now I'm going to solve for side C. So that's going to be C is 42.9 times the sine of 66.2 over the sine of 32 degrees. Okay, and so I'm going to get side C is equal to, and I'll have to punch this into my calculator. And after punching this into my calculator, I get 71.1 for side C. So that's 71.1. And this is my triangle. Okay, so like I said, I've got two more problems to work for the law of sines. So I encourage you to watch them because it's gonna, it's gonna be a little bit different than these. I'm hitting every problem you can come across with law of sines. So I'd encourage you to watch them, and I will also refer back to the problems in this video. Okay. All right. So hopefully this helped. This is part one. I'm thinking maybe two more videos, a part two and a part three. I'll do one video on each one of the next problems. All right. Thanks.